Hey guys, welcome to Prepitch, where we revisit, review, and redo movies. And the next couple of weeks, we're gonna do things. Oh, wait, I'm Richard, and this is my great co-host, David.
Thank you. What's up, guys?
No, I'm throwing off because we are doing something crazy where we're gonna try to repitch a prequel to a good movie.
Right. So this new segment, pre-pitches.
Pre-pitches. David, what are we going to pre-pitch today?
So not one of my favorite, it is my favorite movie of all time. Back to the Future.
it's literally your poster.
Yep, exactly.
David.
Now, this is going to be a lot of hate. And I think, granted, if I was on the other side of this, I'd be like, why are you doing that?
Like, why is this fool touching this possibly perfect movie?
Right. I mean, I think everybody knows this movie. Came out in 1985. Steven Spielberg produced, Robert Zemeckis film, and a cultural and financial success in all of the ways that you can think of.
And just the way it affected culture, I think literally everything about it is great. The style, the story, the acting, the music somehow is still amazing. Good today.
Now, it's the same composer as the composer for the Avengers, if you didn't know.
Oh, is it? Oh, interesting.
Alan Silvestri.
What happened to this game? Oh, that's so interesting. But I could see that. But David, let me know. You have fun facts. I want to hear that. But I want to ask you, why is this your favorite movie? That's a very bold statement.
Yeah.
Why is this your favorite movie?
Every year I think about what my favorite is, and this one easily is my favorite, just because the rewatchability of it. I never get tired of it, and the reason being is because it's got such a good taste of everything. It's got a little bit of fun action. It's comedic. It's fun, and it's got that romance story, sci-fi aspects to it. And a lot. The casting's great. Everybody played
Michael B. Jordan. Michael. What's his name?
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
Oh my god,
created it.
That's so funny you said that. Did you watch? Just side note, you watch Abbott Elementary?
Yeah, great, one of the greatest shows right.
So there's an episode where they talk about how one of the teachers, she mixes up black actors and white actors.
Yes,
and one of them was Michael J. Fox and Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, I might have that, but yeah, go on, great casting.
Yes, great casting, and
Michael J. Fox.
Touched by the hands of Steven Spielberg, so it's gonna be good. Now let me give you the numbers for this movie. Actually,
yeah, I'm curious.
So opening weekend, this did 11 million. Now in today's time, it doesn't sound good, but let me give you the rest of the numbers. Now domestic box office, it ended up doing 212 million. Internationally, it did 173. So worldwide total, it ended up being 385 mil. A little over that.
With inflation and thinking about that's at least half a million.
Yeah, it's gonna be about 500. And now
that's crazy.
You want to know why this is such a success? The production budget on this was 19 million.
That's it?
Exactly. A modest production budget, amount. Even for that time too, Hollywood. And even if you think about it today, movies are at least 100 mil.
At least, yeah. That's down. I don't want to go there, but there's some terrible movies with millions of dollars of budget. I'm where did it all go?
Mm-hmm. So just at a measly 19 mil, it raked in 385 mil.
That's insane. And that's just the first movie.
Just the first movie.
And that's not including merchandise, the cartoon TV show it's made, and other things like that.
Exactly.
Before we recorded this, David, I mentioned that I'm gonna say something about this movie that's gonna frustrate you. Are you ready for it?
What is it? Bring it on.
David, this is my least favorite Back to the Future movie.
Wow. Which one is your favorite?
David, wait, let me let me give you my order and give you my reason.
Okay.
My favorite Back to the Future movie is the third one.
Okay.
Then the second one, then the last.
So it's just backwards.
It's back. The reason why This is because I didn't own these movies on DVD or VHS. I watched it on TV and I watched it in the wrong order. It never concurred to me as a kid that it didn't make sense. Like I knew like, oh, like this is interesting. Like the first movie I ever seen was the third movie. I'm like, oh shoot, cowboys, that's really cool. Like, oh, what? There's a train that goes back in time. That's awesome. just like it's really interesting. So like it's the same reason why like it's like whatever first movie you watch is probably your favorite. Like that's the reason why I like Ghostbusters 2 better than the first one. Even though I know first one's better,
right?
I like number 2 better because I watched the first.
Gotcha. Just that nostalgia factor and that like.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the other. I thought you'd be a little bit more mad, but yeah.
No, I get it. No, because there's definitely a lot of movies for me too where it's like, oh, because I saw this first, this is definitely like what I like. Oh, yeah. But I mean, it's a little questionable, but I get it.
Oh man, in my pursuit to get David mad at me, to yell at me, I have not succeeded. Maybe one day. But David, you said you have some fun facts about this film.
Yeah. So just like with any great movie, it's got a lot of history behind it. A lot of obstacles they had to go through, hoops to jump through. Now this wasn't a movie that was just picked up right away. I think the script was first made in the early 80s before, and it was bought initially by a different studio under Columbia Pictures. And at that time, there was a studio head there by the name of Frank Price. He's legendary studio head writer. He brought some of the greatest movies out there, a lot of Spielberg movies like E.T. and such blockbusters like that. But then there was a time after he read the script, he kind of shelved it with no reason or any kind of like explanation why. And Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale both were just kind of like up in the air now. They didn't know what to do. And the history behind that though is also Robert Zemeckis. He was doing a string of movies that were flops. He was not a great director to begin with, in the eyes of studio heads. And then finally, he got his break in Romancing with the Stones.
Okay.
Old Michael Douglas movie. And that gave him the leverage and leeway to be able to be the head director for Back to the Future. But the issue here was that they had to go get the script back from Frank Price, who is now the head of Universal Studios, which is where Spielberg was a big part of, and he was able to make his production studio Amblin Entertainment under Universal. And they thought it was going to be a big issue, but it turns out Frank Price actually loved the script when he was over at Columbia. And the reason why he shelved it was because he knew that he was going to leave Columbia, and he wanted to be the one to make it. So like when he went to Universal Studios, as soon as they got it, he was just like, yeah, of course, do what you need to do. And
he was just holding it.
Yeah, he was holding it. Just holding on to it.
That's pretty cool. And that's crazy that if it came out any earlier, it probably wouldn't be as successful as it is today.
Yeah, which is kind of like so interesting, like even in that waiting, it helped create that movie and made that movie that much better in that way. Now everything about this movie, I think is just great, from the music to all the story, like I was telling you about. Did you know that they originally filmed this half of the movie with a different actor than Michael J.
Main character?
Yeah.
Who?
They filmed it with an actor named Eric Stoltz.
Why does he sound so familiar? Who is he?
So he is most famous for this role in, what is it called? Mask, and like a lot of like these scary movies. And you ever seen that movie with like the guy with like the really like kind of like ugly face, long face?
But no. Why did they film half a movie, and what happened to him?
So,
did he just leave?
The reason why he was so. Long story short, the original actor that Bob Zemeckis really wanted was Michael J. Fox. But at that time, Michael J. Fox was doing Family Ties, the TV show, and he was, his commitment to that was, there, and like they thought that they were not gonna get him, so they just kind of gave up on that. And then another one of the producers or the studio head, he was so sold on Eric Stoltz being like the next big thing that he was like, we gotta use him. But they were not. The director Robert Zemeckis was not sold on him. They ended up actually auditioning a few other people, and which were C. Thomas Howell, John Cryer, and Ben Stiller. A young Ben Stiller auditioned for for the role of Marty. Ultimately, they went with Eric Stoltz, but the issue was Eric Stoltz did not see the movie as a comedy. He saw it as such a sad tale. Because like in his mind, when he was reading the script, he's like, this guy went into the past and he's coming back to his future. And
interesting.
And the way he explained it was like, this character is like living a lie now. Like he remembers things that everybody else in his world does not remember. And of course, the rest of the crew and, the director were like, no, that's so wrong.
That sounds
like
a really boring movie.
Yeah,
like a bad movie.
So he took the role way too seriously, and like there were so many problems. But they continued through because the thought of changing an actor midway through was just so out there and like unheard of, and they didn't think it was possible. So like they would do so many different shots with Eric Stoltz, and they would have to like cut it together and be like, oh, okay, he was good here, he was good there, things like that. But at the end of the day, ultimately, they were just like, no, we can't do this.
Get this guy out of here.
And then Robert Zemeckis was like, I want Michael J. Fox. So they ended up going to Family Ties Studios, speaking to the producer of Family Ties.
Interesting.
And then his only thing was, his TV show comes first. No matter what Michael J. Fox does, he has to have that commitment for the TV show. And then they brought in Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox, of course, he was freaking out because he thought he was going to get fired from Family Ties because all these execs were there. But then they gave him the script, and they're like, go think about it. Think about if you want to do this movie or not. But for him, he saw the script size of the movie, and then he was holding a script for like the TV show, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this movie.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like without question. And
that's interesting.
Of course, all the cast and crew, as soon as Michael J. Fox signed on, they were like, is this really like a good idea? Halfway through, we just got to reshoot everything now? Like, what the heck? Oh, quick fun fact. Because of the recasting of Michael J. Fox, they also had to recast the role for Jennifer, his girlfriend.
Why?
Height was a huge issue.
Because he's a naturally short guy. Yeah.
And like they even went around asking some of the female crew members, like, would you date a guy shorter than you? They're all just like, no, definitely not. And you know who originally was playing Jennifer?
Who?
Laura Hardin, better known as Jan Levinson from The Office.
Oh, I can't see that.
Yep.
David, it sounds like a movie about time travel. Someone came back from time to tell them what not to do and to make this perfect movie.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of the decision making that went into it ultimately just worked in their favor, and it went well. After Michael J. Fox was actually cast into it, the rest is history. I think, the cast who were all like iffy about this, I think he came onto set and after he gave that first line, everybody started cracking up and they're like, oh, this is it. This is the movie we need to make.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like the character that written, he's a perfect character. There's no flaws about him, but like it works and it's fun. It's like, we talked about it. Why do films before 2000s feel so much lighter? And like, it's a simple premise, but like, it's like brand new. It's not like about just stand up for yourself, but like, the idea of a son teaching his father how to be a man, like that's new, and just like it's a great film.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. I think and like the way the writer even came up with this movie was I think he said that he visited his family's house, his parents' house, and he was just cleaning out the basement, and he found his dad's yearbook, and he saw that in the yearbook his dad was class president. And then it's just one of those facts where he's like, oh, I never knew that about my parents. And then that started this fact like, oh, what would it be like if I went to school with my parents? And then like, that's just kind of like started the whole story.
I thought you were going to say something cooler, right? He was looking through the yearbook and he saw a guy that looked just like him. Just like so that'd be really cool. But like, oh, that's I like that. That's so good.
And it's also other fun facts actually. Christopher Lloyd actually did not want to do the movie at first. When he first got the script, he threw it out, and then his wife was like, "You got to do this. Read it, and then think about it." And then after he read it, of course, he was like, "All right, let's do this."
The wisdom of a good woman sees another man.
Yes.
I honestly, I can't think of anyone else to play Doc than him.
Honestly, yeah,
Christopher Lloyd.
He brought such a great character, iconic character now that everybody knows. He does. Oh man, yeah. I think for him, that's the role that everybody's gonna remember him for.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I can't think of any other film that he's in but that one. And I do know one where he gets frozen, but other than that,
he was also I forget this a lot, but he was the bad guy in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
He was, but like again,
right? Yeah,
he's Doc. But anything else you want to share about this movie before we go on?
Yes, I
mean, to do the impossible.
This movie was nothing short of its weirdos. Obviously we heard about Eric Stoltz and the issues with him, but there was an actual kind of weird guy, and that was Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover?
Crispin Glover. I think you might remember him from the first Charlie's Angels movies. That weird guy. Who like
the father, right? Yeah.
He's the father.
Yeah. He isn't. Yeah, I was thinking like this guy looks really familiar, but yeah, he's a weirdo.
But he is an actual weirdo. Apparently, some of the stories that are said, he had a lot of issues with the director, to the point where like he would continuously go out of frame, and things like that go out, and his reasoning would be like, oh, George McFly wouldn't do this. He would want to go here. He would want to do this. And then there's also one part where he was like, oh, yeah, I don't think George McFly would open the door or something like that. And then like, just like those kind of things. And on top of that, there's a story about how he wanted to practice his lines with Leah Thompson, who plays Lorraine. So he invites him to his apartment. And
oh my God.
It's not as weird. It's not
okay,
bad.
I'm
it's
like
weird.
Preparing myself.
So what actually happens is they both are painting, right? He's like, I think they're both painting or something, and then he paints a volcano. After he's done, he looks at it. He's like, and then that was it. That was it.
I'm sorry. What?
So that's supposedly that is the story like of what happened.
That's something else, I guess, David.
It's completely weird, different direction than what you thought, right?
Oh my God. Okay, I was thinking some horror stories of like, that's weird.
Yeah. So that's that. One other fun fact: the original ending for the movie was actually supposed to use an atomic bomb to power the car.
Oof. Okay.
But of course, they scrapped that and went with what they have now.
That's probably best. Yeah. That scene's iconic. The lightning bolt and everything.
Yeah. I mean, those are just tidbits of fun facts that, for this great movie. There's so many more backstory to it. I know there's a show on Netflix called Movies That Made Us, and there's a whole documentary about the behind the scenes of how this movie got made. So
interesting.
If you guys are interested, check it out.
Interesting. Oh, I don't know. I might actually check that out. That sounds really cool.
Actually, that whole series is very interesting. It's not long. It's like maybe like 40-minute episodes, and they go through all like pretty big movies, blockbuster movies.
Any movies in mind that stuck out?
I mean, of course, Die Hard, Nightmare Before Christmas. They go through a bunch of like horror, Halloween. What what else is there? Like I think E.T. and I think Home Alone was on there. So a lot of interesting ones. I think you'll find interesting.
Interesting. All right. So are we at that moment, David, where we're gonna do the impossible?
Oh, man, I'm trying to drag it out because I'm so scared. But yes, I think we're finally at that time.
I thought about it, David. I don't know. I'm touching my plant. I'm not gonna give you the red light, green light. But I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna team up. We're gonna work together to make this in a way we feel like, you know what, I could actually see this happening.
All right.
Because
I like that because, hey, like I said before, if I was in your chair right now hearing this, I'd be like, why are you doing that? There's no reason for this. Don't do it.
This would be too easy to give a red light. But let's work together to make that green light. But David, you did the hard work. You did the impossible work of pitching, we're thinking about making a prequel.
Yes.
But let's do it.
So here we go.
Okay.
So I got this idea. Now, if you've seen the movie, in the beginning of the movie, you hear Doc Brown give this line when he's talking to Marty on the phone. Marty asks him, where have you been all week? And obviously, Doc Brown doesn't give a clear answer. But the indication is that he's been working on his time machine and doing what he needs to do to like put it together. So in my mind, it was like, oh, what did he do? And we know that he stole plutonium. He got it for terrorists. He made them a fake bomb and things like that. So I was thinking, hey, why not make a prequel movie about Doc Brown stealing this plutonium from the lab?
Okay.
So it's like a kind of like crazy like heist sci-fi film, I guess you could say.
Okay. All right. So I see the heist film, but I'm still curious about the sci-fi. But go on.
So sci-fi is just purely the whole Doc Brown side of it.
Okay.
I think the tagline that I had going for this was genius scientist Doc Brown must work with an unlikely group of terrorists in order to steal heavily guarded plutonium for them.
When is this a prequel for today? Being made today?
Yes, I would say yes, and I would do this. I think the easiest and best way to do it is make it an animated movie.
Interesting. Okay. I like that, but okay, I might have issues. But I thought about it.
So I tried to think of so many different animation styles. What would be good with it, like hand drawn or 3D.
Oh, okay, wow.
But
you thought a lot about this, but go on.
So I was thinking, ultimately, I don't know if you've seen this. There's a recent Lupin the Third movie that came out. That was
I've seen it.
3D.
Great. I've seen some clips about it.
Yeah,
Great.
and the animation really caught me. I was like, oh, this is really good. And I think
it's 3D but very smooth.
Yeah, and I think if I had to pick an animation style, I would go with that.
Okay. Interesting. But okay, give me the story. Give me that basic outline. What happens?
All right. So
there's terrorists in this,
Yep.
and there's Doc Brown. But yeah, what else?
So there's terrorists involved in this. I think obviously in the three act breakdown, in the intro, it's pretty much Doc Brown at home. He's working on the time machine, and he's trying to power it, but he can't. There's no way for him to generate enough power, and then he remembers that he needs that plutonium. Ultimately, he ends up going to some like convention a genius convention per se. I want a lot of comedic aspects to this. I think the core of it should be comedy and fun tidbits, like let's throw in like Rick and Morty in this convention, see if like for them to show up. I think
you bring that up, but go on. Okay.
I mean, they're not part of the movie, just like little cameos.
Okay.
So he's at this convention where he goes to these different exhibits, and he sees one about harnessing plutonium energy, or like getting plutonium energy or using it. And as he's viewing this, he sees a weird group of people right next to him looking at the same thing. And it's, of course, that Libyan terrorist group. And
okay, that's a left swing. But go on.
So ultimately, they begin to talk. about like, you know, the power of this, the energy power that plutonium can give, and both of them are going in different directions. Obviously, Doc Brown wants to do this to power his invention, and the other group is obviously trying to create a bomb.
Okay.
Now, ultimately, they go their separate ways, but he gets captured. He gets kidnapped by this group of terrorists, and he's kind of being interrogated, and he's getting forced into the like trying to steal this plutonium for them. But ultimately, Doc Brown, more so than scared, Doc Brown is interested because he realizes this might be one of the few ways for him to successfully get what he needs for his experiment. Because for him, he's willing to do whatever it takes to get his experiment going and like successfully make it work. So the intro be that part, like him getting kidnapped, intro to what he needs, who the character is. Second act would be about, you know, of course, just like with any heist movie, you need the plan montage, and then the actual heist montage. Now this part, I kind of wanted the heist to be a bit more, I guess, in the words of heist, this would be a stealth raid.
Okay.
So kind of secrecy, but I think to bring out the comedy aspect of it, I think I want a lot of the things to go wrong for Doc Brown. But
so he's there. He's part of the heist.
Yeah, he's part of the heist. He's fully in it. He's committed to it because, you know, in the back of his mind, he's gonna steal this plutonium for himself.
Okay.
So, but then to really showcase, like, you know, his genius level and like his ability to kind of pivot at any obstacle, I want the original plans to kind of just go sideways each time, or like a lot of the times, and then this really lets Doc Brown kind of like come up with something on the spot, whether he uses his science ingenuity and things like that to make it all work. Now, ultimately, of course, they're able to get it. They successfully get the plutonium, and they bring him back to their hideout, and they keep him captive, of course, because they want him to make the bomb. And Doc tries to come up with an escape plan, but then he decides ultimately, maybe I can do something here. And he does. Act 3 is pretty much about the bait and switch. He's kind of like captured in this place, and then he creates a shoddy bomb with pinball machine parts.
Okay.
Gives them the fake bomb, and then Doc Brown, he's able to take what he needs, go back to his his own lab, finish up his invention and things like that. And the ending would be him loading up his time machine in the truck, grabbing a bulletproof vest and the 1955 letter that Marty gives him that warns him.
I see. Okay.
And then other ending would be, of course, the terrorists trying to set this bomb off, but of course it doesn't work, which angers them and makes them go searching for Doc Brown. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be like a full circle. It leads up into the moment where Marty and Doc Brown meet in the first movie.
Okay. I mean, I love the cohesiveness, and this is a movie, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a movie.
And I'm assuming because it's animated, you're gonna have the same actors,
right? So yeah, in order to, I think there's no other person to play Doc Brown. It's got to be Christopher Lloyd, even if it's just voice. It's got to be him. So
yeah. Oh, David, my only issue, my biggest issue with this is it's kind of boring. I mean, like Back to the Future, they're literally going back in time, and you're pitching a prequel where there's no time travel. Like I understand that, like he needs it to time travel, but like there's no failed experiments where he accidentally goes back in time but doesn't have control over it or something like that. And like you bring up you bring up cartoons and you even bring up Rick and Morty, because like that series heavily inspired by Back to the Future. Right. And like if you make an animated film, people are gonna compare it to Back to Rick and Morty. Yeah.
Fair.
What do you what do you think about leaning into that and kind of having like a shared, not a shared universe, but like,
so you're saying use Rick and Morty more?
Exactly.
So
use it not more.
So like they are part of the cast, like
kind of like you.
I think that would take away from Back to the Future. It would. That would just become a Rick and Morty episode.
Exactly, but like people would watch that.
But I don't want people to watch it for Rick and Morty. I want people to watch it for Back to the Future.
No, I agree. But my only, like, again, the heist idea and like,
I mean, I think like a lot of it can be elevated with whatever gadgetry he uses and things like that. And I think that's where it comes down to. Obviously, I haven't thought that deep enough into this pitch. Yeah. So like crazy gadgets that he comes up with and makes, I think, can kind of level it to that field.
What do you think about them, Doc Brown meeting a future Doc Brown from a like alternative timeline that has a working thing, and you kind of see him like as a darker, more evil Doc Brown kind of thing. Like this guy's clearly shady, and like it's like, oh yeah, let me help you get the plutonium, and like, you know, Doc. I always thought that was weird. Like, why is this kooky scientist that's kind-hearted working with terrorists and make a fake bomb? Like, wouldn't it kind of make more sense? Like, oh, that wasn't me. That was my quote-unquote evil twin from a different timeline.
But wouldn't that spark the question of, like, if that's the case, why didn't he just get the plutonium from that future self? Like, why didn't he just get that?
He wouldn't share.
So he's like sharing with his future self. Yeah. So the guy decides to come back and help his past self, but he's not going to share anything with his past self.
Maybe not even share. Like that future that alternate timeline. Doc Brown he's the antagonist the whole time. True. And like Doc Brown is gonna fight, and like that's the plutonium that he steals. Maybe like they're working together. Like, oh, I'm stranded in your universe. Let's help me save it, and I'll show you this awesome device, this awesome way to time travel, something like that. But like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I feel like
I mean, I'll say like Doc. I think when it comes to Doc Brown, he's not far from doing what needs to be done. Because I think one of the scenes in Back to the Future that kind of shows that he bribes a police officer. He does. So like, this is the same guy who's gonna bribe a police officer. He's definitely willing to work with terrorists to get what he needs.
I mean, that's a huge level. Like bribing like people do that, but like working with terrorists is like a huge like whoa.
But I mean, so let's
you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah. So let's work with that. Let's go with this future self coming back.
You know what? I want to respect you. Let's do the heist. How do we make it more fantastical? How do we make it more fun?
Well, I want to ask you this though. Like, if we got that future self to come back, what's happening there? So the heist wouldn't happen then. Like what?
We can keep the heist. Maybe like this future Doc Brown. We don't know it, but like maybe he's the one in charge of making the heist. He's the George Clooney. But like halfway through, we find out like, yo, this is just evil Doc Brown. What do you think about that? I want to stick true. I don't want to scrap your thing, but it is a good idea. I wanted to give it that Back to the Future flavor. Right. Like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would hate it to go into watch a prequel and it's like, this doesn't feel like a prequel. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like
how do we incorporate time travel without using time travel? I guess that's the way.
Yeah, I feel like the only.
But I mean, yeah, like you brought up, I think it might be the safest way of doing it. Like bringing a future self.
But like in the movie, he talks like this future self talked to his past self, which is interesting. And seeing that, it's like, oh, this is weird, but like, kind of interesting.
Right. So again, why does that future self come back, and why does he want to help his past self? Because
so the future self, he's stuck in this timeline, and he's not helping himself. He is trying to help himself to escape this timeline and get plutonium so he can go back to his world or whatever time.
Like, okay, so it's just pretty much Back to the Future with Doc Brown, like
yeah,
exactly. Like the first movie with Doc Brown.
It's Doc Brown versus Doc Brown. So and that, I think it'd be interesting to see another side of Doc Brown where like he's his own man. But you are right. He's not a snowflake. He's definitely like does what he needs to do to make his research succeed for sure.
Okay, let's give this, because I guess we're going in the direction of trying to make this second Doc Brown a little bit more of a villain.
Okay.
What makes him that? What drives him in that direction? Like, what are we gonna do with him? Like, why is he trying to harm this past Doc Brown? Is he trying to like steal something from him, or is he?
This is why I hate time travel in any kind of, because it gets very, not tricky, but very convoluted and just like unnecessarily annoying.
Right. There's a lot of pieces to it. Like you got to think about and consider.
Yeah. Do we agree that this Doc Brown is in the same timeline or different timeline?
I think
different universe.
It would have to be a different like.
But like, even in the movie, like what's his name? I was just gonna say Morty. Michael J. Fox. He helps his parents get back together, but he changes his timeline by making his parents like, you know, more self-assured and successful,
creating a new timeline.
Exactly. Right. So is that we agree on that?
Right. So
anytime there's time traveling,
right, it's gonna spark a new timeline. It's gonna
you're branching off to another one. Okay. So very similar to MCU. All right. So let's do that. So maybe in this timeline, this Doc Brown, maybe a little bit more crazier, a little bit more wild, comes in with his first time machine, but utterly fails. He's scarred, he's messed up, so he's visibly in pain and angry.
Okay.
But he's still clearly Doc Brown.
All right.
You know what I mean? This sound kind of like we're dangerously getting close to a Rick and Morty episode, I feel like.
That's the problem. That is like the whole idea of like we're playing with this multiverse thing and having a different Doc Brown come in. It is borderline Rick and Morty, and
it really is.
But I do like the fun aspect of it, where it is another play on the Back to the Future story. Because the funny thing about the Back to the Future trilogy is that the first and second movie are pretty identical. You know, like it's
of course,
the way that they do it, but it's still so enjoyable. So like to create that in the prequel sense, like Doc Brown has already been through what he's gonna be going through in the next two movies. I think that's kind of fun, but of course we don't want to repeat the same thing. Like we don't want it to be a carbon copy.
Maybe we see like a gladiator thing where all Doc Browns in different universes fight each other. We see Doc Brown, the train conductor that travels.
No, that's a Rick and Morty episode.
That is. Okay, I need to get away from that mind. But like again, Rick and Morty is clearly inspired by Back to the Future in a more nihilist way. But I can't help but just lean towards that.
I mean, if I gotta agree with you. If we're gonna do it in this day and age, I think that's what people would be expecting. That type of craziness in this kind of story.
I was just thinking about evil Michael J. Fox, but that's definitely that's literally
evil Morty.
That's evil Morty. Oh, that's so frustrating. Oh, this is hard. I don't know how to get out of this hole.
Right. So bring it back. Keep it a little bit more grounded.
All right. You know what? Let's scrap evil Doc Brown and just keep true to yours. And how do we make it more? How do we give it the magic?
I mean,
I feel like you have to involve some kind of time travel in a smaller scale or more crazier scale.
Yeah, no, I do. I like that idea that you're bringing in, like to use time travel in this movie. I think you're right. not having that there takes it away from this whole series.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's hard because this is supposed to be before he does it for the first time.
What if he has like something that he uses, like electricity or like whatever, to time travel, but it's like a one-off, but he can't control it, and something random always comes up, like a dinosaur egg or something, just random, just like no.
Oh, so like the reverse way, he brings something from the past.
Exactly, and he like hopefully it helps out, and like half the times it kind of does, but like I don't know.
Man, like, and I guess another direction I was thinking of, like another, like a Bill and Ted type of thing, where they go like meet all these great, like historical leaders.
I kind of like that better.
So I'm thinking like maybe Doc Brown meets like his great science idols like Einstein or like Isaac Newton or things like that. But like, how do we bring that in? Like, how do we tie that in?
It'd be funny if he has to do a heist with his greatest idols.
I think that's good.
That's what you have to do. Like Einstein,
Isaac Newton, like
Plato, just randomly Genghis Khan. No, they had Genghis Khan and Bill and Ted. Like Caesar. No, Caesar's in it too.
Or I just bring in more science people like Da Vinci or like.
Yeah. I think that would honestly make it kind of more interesting, and you could definitely do it cartoony in the cartoon format.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
Like, maybe the Lebanons, the Libyans, the terrorists. Let's just call it that. I don't want to name a specific race because it gets kind of tricky. But the terrorists, they're like, hey, you need to steal this for us, or like we're gonna destroy your town or whatever. And Doc Brown, instead of doing the normal thing, he just drags people out from their past and forces them to help. I think how do you feel about that?
I like it.
Okay.
The question is, how is he doing this before he knows how to time travel? Like, how is he bringing those people before he knows how to time travel? Like, I like your like that crazy experiment idea.
Yeah.
Because like in the beginning of this, actually, one of the things was like when I was saying that he was trying to finish his machine, so he tests out the time machine with his own power source, thinking that he can copy the power level of like lightning bolt with his own electrical outlet or something like that. Maybe like that creates a flashpoint for like the car to like go quickly like go through like time travel, and somehow it picks up these people, like it's in their room, they touch it, and then like the next thing, like it's just whipping by.
Maybe he doesn't invent the car first, but when you think of time travel, maybe like a portal, like maybe a gateway or something.
Actually, fun fact, like one of the first draw ups for what the time machine was supposed to be was a fridge.
That'd be hilarious. Can you imagine Einstein coming out of a fridge?
Yeah.
Frazzled.
So maybe like make his first attempt at this be the fridge, and then when he accidentally powers it, it just goes back and forth.
Yeah. And I guess, it'd be hilarious. The fridge magnets are his favorite idols. And that's how he gets them. He's just like, maybe it's by accident, and he's like, the only way I could bring you back to your home is if you help me go steal this thing. And like he makes it, he sends them back home, and that's when he comes back to the terrorists.
And then maybe he's also like, to him it kind of feels like a dream that it all happened.
Yeah, we could definitely do something. I hate that cop out, but like maybe. But yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Because like I think one of the lines that comes out in Back to the Future is that after he does the car for the first time, he says his dog is the first time traveler in history.
Yeah, interesting. Okay,
but I like this. I like the direction that we're going with this.
Maybe the dog is the first time travel. Maybe that's not his original dog, but that's a dog from his childhood. That's the first one to come up from the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the dog that we know of, like his dog was long dead. But that dog was the first one to travel time and come back to his present.
Okay.
So we'll stick true to that.
All right.
So the dog is the first time traveler.
All right.
And I feel like that'd be more fun.
That's
like,
I think that's a good twist. I think bringing in
Okay.
the old scientists, his idols, into the mix. I think that's good. That's good.
Okay. All right. No, I do like this a lot better. I don't. It's like, again, you're right. Evil Doc Brown. That's too Rick and Morty. That's Rick and Morty.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think this makes it a little more. Yeah. That's.
It still feels like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Who is? Do you feel like, because Michael J. Fox is Doc Brown's counterpart and like everyday person.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like we need that?
No, I think I wanted to stray from that just because, like,
Okay.
to keep true to this Back to the Future timeline, Marty was never there for that week. Whatever he was doing, he was kind of in the dark about everything. And his sidekicks, to say, would be these idols that come out. Like those are the other characters for this.
Right.
His supporting.
So do you have any casting? I think Tom Hanks should be Einstein. I think that'd be hilarious.
Ooh, I was actually thinking Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey, yes, actually that'd be great.
Because he played Einstein in the TV series.
It would be really funny. I don't know if this is a gimmick, but like John Cena as Da Vinci. Like he comes out of the fridge. This is maybe The Rock. No, John Cena. The Rock actor. John Cena comes out, and you're like, "Yo, was Da Vinci always this jacked?" And like, I think that'd be really funny. I don't know. That's stupid. That is stupid.
That'd be like a one of those scary movie things.
it really, but like, played off serious.
I think maybe like. Okay, so Einstein, I'd say Jeffrey Rush. Let's see, Da Vinci and who's
John Cena?
Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton.
So John Cena would be Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, yeah.
And then
Newton could be.
One of the castings originally in my cast, I had the terrorist, the cast of terrorist. I wanted to be Oscar Isaac, Rami Malek, and then Keegan-Michael Key.
That's pretty great. That's pretty good casting. No, I like that. Huh.
And then, so I guess let's stick to John Cena as Da Vinci.
Oh, you should have because like you don't want all just white guys. We should have Madame Curie in it too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Radiation.
Oh no, that'd be perfect. Yeah,
I think that, and everyone and Doc Brown's like avoiding her at all costs. Like, she's
feel
not
like
aware that she's gonna die of radiation.
Then a good pick, Kristen Wiig.
Oh, obviously, yeah, of course, that'd be so good. And like, there needs to be one person that's not a scientist, just completely random person from history, like a Mr. Rogers type. Like what?
Who would that be? Who's like an innocent character in history? Like what? Charlie Chaplin?
Like, oh my gosh, that'd be so weird.
Let's do.
It's your pitch. You figure it out. You know what I mean.
Let's do
right?
Buster Keaton. They need somebody to do all the stunts, right? Like,
yeah, and he's the tightrope man. That'd be funny. And does he not talk the whole movie?
That'd be funny. But no, I think we should bring out his voice for this.
Of course, sir. Who'd you? I'm thinking of young Robert Downey Jr. That's pussy. Who would it be?
Buster Keaton. I mean, this is all voice acting, so.
Oh yeah, I'm making Robert Downey Jr. That'd be great.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, that's an expensive cast, but I would watch this. This sounds hilarious.
This sounds we've done it. I think we've made a pretty okay one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, you got those of you who are listening. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
But yeah, I would. I don't know if I'll like it, but I'll definitely watch a episode. I watch a clip or two.
Yes, this would be a straight to streaming, and if it's on Netflix, definitely.
Is this a TV or movie? I forgot to ask.
No, movie, definitely movie.
Movie. Okay.
I don't think this is sustainable for a TV show.
No.
Yeah.
Who would do the music?
Got to bring back Alan Silvestri. Just keep it the same.
No. All right. David, I think we did the impossible and possibly pitched a prequel movie.
Yes, very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you for your help on that. Yeah, we brought it to a good direction.
Yeah, I'm really glad we stuck to the heist. Because like, I didn't want to do you dirty like that, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, trust me. A lot of the things that I kept coming up in my mind was Rick and Morty. And,
yeah, I know.
It's hard not to. It's like,
yeah.
Oh man, but that was a long one. But glad we got that out. Was able to like create that good ending or good solid story for this.
Oh yeah. But David, where could our wonderful listeners find us? As we're wrapping up today's episode.
Of course, as always, you guys can find us on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Prepitch Podcast or look at the descriptions below. And if you guys got any, comments, did you guys like this pitch? Did you guys not like this pre-pitch? Tell us what you think. Shoot us an email at prepitchpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, just a big shout out to our friend Joe Yoo, Mr. Pandemix, for helping us with the sound editing and everything. Look for his SoundCloud also in the descriptions below.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't listened to last Monday's episode, take a listen. We talked about the National Film Registry.
National Film Registry.
We talked about some movies that should be included. Very fun listen. Classic Richard and David rants. But to end this movie in a quote from Back to the Future, classic 80s, this is heavy.
Good line.
Yeah.
Good line. All right.
All right, man. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you guys.